What's up? I'm Jason Lee, a kiteboarder, a stand-up paddler, a hydrofoiler, a drone pilot, a private pilot, and an entrepreneur. I love traveling, taking video, photos, building drones, and all the gear involved with my business and hobbies. Join me on product reviews and adventures. This is a box from BH, photo video, and it's kind of something I've been thinking of for quite some time, a couple of years. I needed a sport housing to get back into one of these with a camera. Right now I've got a dive housing for the 5D, which works really nice, but it is not very sturdy as far as, impact, surf, stuff like that. It's held on by a couple tabs, and force, as you start diving in, the force and pressure keeps it in there. But if you were gonna get knocked around by a wave with that big old dome port, probably could get knocked off. So that's why I'm looking for something that is sturdy, made for the surf. So I checked out what's called the Nimar housing, and it's priced pretty well. It's probably one of the cheapest surf housings out there. So kind of want to see what it's all about. Not too many reviews on it, but they've been around for a while. Got a dome port for it as well. All right, so this supposedly is a dome port in here. And this guy, whoa, could have been a disaster. So what do we got in here? We have, these are the handle grips, which is a hard ABS plastic. Pretty sturdy looking. And this is for the GH5, so I wanted something that was using a lightweight camera and a lightweight housing, because a lot of the shots I'm going to be doing is going to be sitting or standing in the water, holding it like this, maybe not floating, but standing in pretty shallow water, guys jumping over me jumping over the camera, or just floating in the water, holding it up. I like the pistol grip option, but it was kind of limited. I'm hoping that you could adapt a pistol grip to this in case you wanted to get in the surf. If not, then we'll just have to figure something out, just using the grips and stuff like that. But let's just get into the housing itself and see what we got. This comes all the way from Italy. It's nice and green. All right, so these are the functions that it has on here. I can't change from C1 to C2 on this, which I'm not too fond of. I want to be able to change. We got stickers, valid warranty card, Panasonic GH5. That's it right here. Okay, so here it is. Nice latches on here. So overall it's pretty light. Looks like the hardware just sits in like this. And it does seem a little high for this finger right here. It's not gonna hit anything, so it looks like you're gonna be using kind of something like this, like the whole hand grip. So lower fingers, unless you're holding it kind of like this style, is probably what we'll end up doing. And that's basically just a lever in here hitting your shutter button, which also is used in video if you're in video mode. So you've got access to, looks like the Q control knob here, and this is also, looks like this is video record right here. Might be something else, we'll check it out. You also have a bulkhead right here, which you might be able to attach an extra strobe, and don't see any options if I wanted to do the trigger on here. So looks like I am stuck with pulling it like this. So I'm gonna have to build a leash system as well, because I do not want to lose this thing in the surf. So we'll probably end up having to either screw it into here or just kind of wrapping it around this. So I'll have to think about that. It kind of feels about the same as my Aquatech. I had a 7D Aquatech housing. This is actually not green material. This looks like a sticker on here. So if you wanted a black out, you could probably peel this sticker off and it would be a black housing. It might look a little nicer. Okay, time for the lens. All right, so inside this looks like you've got a tool and a focus ring. This is for the Panasonic 12 to 35, which I don't own, so I had to buy one of these. I found one on eBay just for this housing. And it comes, looks like, with either an extra O-ring or an O-ring. So yeah, it looks like there's some O-rings that came with the housing as well for the port. For the rear one, let's check that out. Let's open this up. There's a latch here. It's kind of nice. All right. So there's definitely an O-ring in here. Now, the funny thing is, it's not greased up at all. So you're definitely going to want to lube that up. It does come with some lube in here. So yeah, it's pretty dry right now. Not sure why they ship it like that. Maybe to keep dust from getting on it. But I would say definitely lube this up. Read the manual before you get into it. But yeah, as you can see, these are the buttons that came with this particular guy. It's like up, down, left, right, and you've got the center OK button. This looks like the Q button. So you can access quite a few functions. I don't think you can change your modes though. So you're stuck in whatever shooting mode that you set it at before you get in the water. So hopefully it's the one that you want to be in. There is definitely a case over this dome port. So that is nice. I'm liking that already. But yeah, it does come with a nice little case, and on the back side too is a cover, so this thing is well protected. And it says right here, immerse in water prior to putting your camera in, so it wants to make sure everything's good. Okay, so here we have the GH5 with the 12 to 35 lens, and we have Nimar lens port 12 to 35. Got a couple tools that came with the complete set, and we've got a zoom ring right here. It's going to fit right over there, and we've got the classic housing right here. So this is the classic housing. As you can see, it's got an optional Nikonos port right in there, so you can put a flash. On the back, it does have this little plate that slides out, which allows you to attach the camera. These guys just attach on here pretty easily just by using this bolt. And it just screws right in. There's a plate in there. Just make sure that it seats in properly so you're not going to strip this little plate out. But it does look like it's easily replaceable, so no issues right there. And then you do want to crank it down pretty good because you're holding on to this, especially if you're in the surf. You don't want this thing coming off. You've got a shutter here, and then you've got video here. So if you're in video mode, this will hit the video. If you're in photo mode, this will be photo, and this will start recording. And there's some other options. You can mount some lights to these here. I might end up just mounting a system for the lume cubes if we do go underwater. Those are pretty inexpensive and very bright lights. I'd like to try those out. So one of the things that I noticed right away is on the website for BH, it says that these have, you can put a pistol grip on here. I emailed Nimar, they said there is no option for a pistol grip. So this might be going back to B&H because I wanted that option on there in the future. So I may just end up getting that the Pro version that has a pistol grip, and supposed to come with these as well. So if you do a lot of shooting above the water and you're standing, this is perfect. If you're in the water floating trying to get in the barrel, then a pistol grip is the ideal situation for that. Notice there's this little yellow tabby that sticks up. It's a little piece of plastic, and it's going to fit right in. There's a hole right there. It's going to fit right in there, and then that kind of keeps it situated pretty nice, so it's not moving around when you're pushing buttons inside the housing. And then this guy just tightens on there. I'd say you want it fairly tight. You can use this tool that it came with, or you can probably find a screwdriver that'll work. You Can't use a coin because the coin's not going to fit in there. So once that guy's in there, all you got to do is pop this off, and we want to put this focus ring on there. So I did find, after many tries to get this thing in there, it's not as easy as some other brands like the Icolite. It's just kind of like a rubber clamp thing that sits on there. This thing is a little more heavy duty, and it has to be precise. The Icolite has like a channel that it moves everything in there, but these gears have to line up. So if it's too low, you're not going to get hit on these gears. So I like to start it out kind of high, and you can always kind of slowly start pushing it down, because once this is in here, you can't adjust this because there really isn't any room. So you have to take the whole thing out, and that's kind of annoying. So another thing you're going to want to do is tighten this down, but not too much, because this is just plastic. And in fact, it does look like it was 3D printed, which is kind of cool. It's a production 3D print. They just kind of sliced it here, and then tapped a little screw in there. So, in the event that maybe something does go wrong, maybe they'll have this file that you could just reprint this out. It would be kind of convenient. Hopefully companies start doing that. So you're going to want to put the gearing up here, because once it's down the side, it's going to be moving it like this. So as long as it's towards the left, you've got a lot of room here. So as long as it's off to the left, you're going to be fine. So just kind of face it straight down, move these latches out to the side, and then you're going to want to slide this in. And it's got a few channels on the left and right that it's just going to fit right in there. So all the way down, keep your lens cap on because it's sitting right on the lens right now. And then you take your back plate, put that on there. I peeled off that little protection cover in there because I want to see everything in here. It looked like it was kind of blocking some views. So all the pictures online didn't have that on there, so I assume that's just for protection only. And then you kind of get these latches kind of seated in place before I decide to crank them all down at once. So, and I like to do the opposite ones first. Kind of brings everything down. Another thing you'll want to watch out for is just making sure that O-ring is in there really good. And this one comes pretty dry, so you're going to want to lube it up with the silicone grease that it came with, and make sure that it's clean, there's no hair in there and stuff like that, because anything like that could break the seal somehow. Another thing you want to notice with these latches, I put them in there, but you got to make sure it clicks all the way. So like this one didn't click. Oh, I guess it did. This one clicked all the way. This one, let's see. That one's in there. You're going to want to physically check, and make sure that it's in there. Try to lift back on these latches. Let's see. So it looks like that got pushed out a ways. My lens cap popped off. All right. So now it's in there. I'm going to take this lens port right here. Let's get everything off of it. Nice thing about this port, it is glass. So you might even be able to use some turtle wax or Rain-X on here, or just keep spitting on it to keep that water droplets from coming back. But it is glass port, so that means it's a little bit more durable. But if you do end up scratching it, you're not going to be able to buff that scratch out. So you're going to want to be careful with these glass ports. And another thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to power this on before you put it in, because once it's in there, you got no power options. You are limited on certain things, but for the most part, you've got everything you need. All right, so then we're going to put this on. There's a red dot here, which is actually a red dot inside as well. But I usually just kind of put this straight up. So put that straight up, and you're going to look in here. Once it's seated all the way around, you're going to see if you can move that gear in. So right now, the gear is too high. So I'm going to slowly start moving this down a little bit. You don't want to go overboard, because once it's down too far, you can't really pull it up. You can actually push it down, but you can't pull it up. You have to take the whole thing out. So let's try to get this seated again. There we go. One side, the other. Very close. I could go down maybe just like a millimeter now, until we know that it's in there perfect. There we go. There we go. That fits good. So what I'm going to do now is you want to make sure that that seal is all the way around. There's no gaps before you tighten this up. So you tighten that guy up like that. Boom. So now we're in there. Go ahead and lock that in. So now we've got zoom, as you can see. You might not be able to see it, but we're zooming in, we're zooming out. I already checked it out. There's no vignetting, which is nice, because that's not something you want on these type of housings. So this thing's ready to go. Right now, ready to get in the water. You do have to turn it on though, but it's just for demonstration purposes only. So everything fits in here pretty nice. It's fairly lightweight. It's going to be pretty easy to shoot with. We've got trigger here. So if you're in photo and video mode, this would be your photo. This would be your record for your video option in here. So I think we're probably just going to mess around with the video because I want to get some slow-mo shots of jumps and stuff like that. So we'll probably just be in video mode, shooting 4K 60, maybe switch over to the 1080 120. That would be pretty nice. Yeah, this thing's sweet. Let's see what we can do.